It's NBA free agency period. Let's take a look at the best available bigs your San Antonio Spurs can target.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey guys, this is Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia. It's morphin' time.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hey, happy TGIF and happy NBA free agency day. Yeah, today the NBA, your Spurs, everybody can start negotiating with free agents, and might be not surprising at all to see if your silver and black make a move. That's what we're going to be talking about today. In the previous Locked On show, we looked at some of the top guards that are available for San Antonio. We're going to now switch to the big centers. Which ones can the Spurs target and pair with Wemby? So we're going to be looking at kind of like the top 10 and just kind of fast going through it and just eliminating one by one, but then trying to focus on a pair of bigs that the Spurs should take a look at. Hey, this episode of Locked On Spurs is brought to you by Game Time. You want to download the Game Time app right now, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So before we bring in our guest and get into the heart of things, don't you just love options? You just love them, right? I mean, just you go onto your Seamless and your Grubhubs, so many options, right? You could pick from here, you could pick from there. And you know, what if you had a bunch of money? What if you had a bunch of money so much you didn't know what to do with it? And what if you had like some sort of stock portfolio that had a bunch of assets on there, from gold to silver, to IRAs, and you can say, you know what, I'm going to turn these around and make them better. And that's kind of the position the Spurs are in right now as we head into NBA free agency in the offseason. It's so awesome. You should be excited right now as a Spurs fan, because the hard part is actually over. And that was just getting through last season. This is where the fun begins, as Anakin Skywalker says that he's going into battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is where the fun begins. This is where your silver and black can not only just shorten the rebuild, they can fast forward it. They can make it just a couple of months. They can make it just a half a season if they do things right this offseason. They got the grand prize ready. That's Wemby. He's locked, done. He's here. So yay, Spurs. Good job. But now it's starting to look like, how are they going to fix this team? How are they going to get this team back to glory? Now, some will say, hey, it's going to be a slow burn still. There's still going to be some cooking to do. And they're right. Yeah, that side of the argument is right. Wemby's 19 years old. He's probably not going to be an automatic, overnight sensation like David Robinson was, turning the Spurs team to a 50-plus win season over in the next season as a rookie. Tim Duncan, same thing, overnight, first season, bam, playoffs. But if the Spurs do it right, they do it right this offseason, they can perhaps do that by the collective, a big name free agent here, Wemby added, the young Spurs that got a bunch of, experience last season. That's going to parlay into this upcoming season where they've been there, done that. They've been to the bottom of the depths of the NBA. They went through multiple losing streaks, getting curb stomped left and right. They don't want to do that again. They're hungry to prove that that's not that team. And let's not forget, this team probably would have been better record-wise if they just weren't tanking. So now you plug in a Wemby. Now you have all these options. Yes, that does include flipping some of these players. Yes, that does include bringing back players that are on their roster. Keita Bates-Diop, Trey Jones. The list goes on. And you got to tip your cap to Brian Wright. Remember when he came here to San Antonio and everybody was like, who's this guy? Look at his track record with the Pistons. What has he done? Who is he? Does he even exist? Nobody ever sees him. But the moment the reins were turned over to him, he started making deals. He was proving that the Spurs' old way of running it back, remember that? We like the squad we have. He's kind of kicked that to the curb. He's kind of said, you know what? I'll trade DeJounte Murray. I'll trade Brent Forbes. I'll trade Derek White. I'll trade Thad Young and Drew Eubanks. And look what I can get in return. Bunch of draft picks. Look what I can fleece out of Atlanta just for DeJounte Murray. By the way, I could bring him some good luck magic to the NBA draft lottery and win it all. So you have to tip your cap to him. He's proven that perhaps he is this next phase of the Spurs rebuild, the GM to go to. Wouldn't be surprised too if down the road, this NBA season, this upcoming NBA season, and when it's award season, he might get executive of the year. Nobody should be surprised by that. He's done a bang up job in the short time that he's been here, and he's patient, he's cool, he doesn't rush it, but him and the Spurs are sitting on a powder keg right now, and they could turn your San Antonio Spurs into overnight, perhaps, sensations if they do it right this upcoming offseason. And who knows, perhaps, the Spurs could be knocking on the playoff door this upcoming season because they did it collectively with Wemby, with Malachi, with Keldon, with Devin. And if it means parting ways with some of these guys that fans fell in love with, well, guess what? Brian Wright has shown that he's not afraid to do that. He's traded DeJounte Murray. Remember this? Oh, all-star. He's an all-star. DeJounte Murray, he's never going to get traded. Got flipped. Derek White, no, he's better than DeJounte. No, he's the point guard for this rebuild. Got flipped. So, yeah, you got to tip your cap off to Brian Wright. You got to be excited for this upcoming, or this right now, today, free agency period about to start this offseason. And, of course, the NBA trade deadline. So far, so good that Brian Wright has done in this rebuild. All right. Hey, when we get back, we're going to bring in our guest. He is Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. He's going to help me look at some available bigs that the Spurs could target this upcoming, today, moving forward today, that the Spurs could target and bring in to pair Wemby. Could it be Jakob Poeltl? Who knows? Perhaps a reunion's in store for the Spurs. We're going to be talking about that and more right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we do all that, I want to talk to you about PrizePicks. You want to go to PrizePicks right now. So how does it work? Well, basically you pick 2 to 6 players. If they're going to score more or less than their PrizePick projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch. It includes NBA, NFL, PGA, disc golf, Eurobasket, cricket, MMA, so much more. It's really good to use. I use it. You should use it too. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and in Canada. You want to download the PrizePick app right now. Go to prizepicks.com and play daily fantasy sports. First time users get themselves a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. So basically, if you deposit 100, PrizePicks gives you 100. You deposit 50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. All right, it's that time. Let's go and bring in our guest. He is Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. You make sure to follow him on Twitter at Two Shots Podcast. Joe, welcome back to Locked On Spurs.
Hey, thanks for having me back on, Jeff. It's been a while. I've been a little busy, as you can see, as of late. We've been producing this new show for our boy Mike Jimenez.
Yeah, our good friend Mike Jimenez. You and him are doing a bang-up job, and everybody should definitely check it out. In case you didn't know, Joe Garcia, he's helping a friend of the show, Mike Jimenez, on his YouTube new show called The Acquired Taste. Joe serves as the producer, and he definitely takes part in the conversation. Joe's going to tell you about that and more, including Two Shots Podcast, later on this episode. By the way, everybody, in case you saw, I am finally breathing now. Look, I'm not sick anymore. I was sick Joe, I was knocked out for 2 weeks. Just out 2 weeks. I couldn't. Nobody wanted to see me on camera. You didn't want to see tissue stuffed up and red nose. No, it was a bad scene, Joe.
What finally got you cured? Was it the Vicks and the Sprite?
No, it was a bottle of bourbon. It was a bottle of bourbon, and
that cures all.
That did it. That cures all. But hey, enough about that. Let's dive into our topic right here. Joe, we had some fun with Mike Jimenez in the last episode of Locked On Spurs. We looked at the top 10 point guards the Spurs should target. So we went to Spotrac. We looked at their rankings. I sent it to you, so you have that in front of you. And now we're going to look at top 10 bigs the Spurs could look like. Look, we've seen it before, Joe. Everybody says the Spurs, they They need a backup. They need bigs. They need something to alleviate the pressure of Wemby in the paint. The Spurs currently have Zach Collins, Charles Bassey. Who knows if Mamu will be back? But nevertheless, the Spurs are reportedly looking to target that position. So, Joe, let's go to look at some of the available bigs available via Spotrac. Let's first look at this segment. Just look at the top 5 first. So, in the top 5, they have Brook Lopez, Jakob Poeltl, Christian Wood, Mason Plumlee, and Dwight Powell. Which ones are we just eliminated right off the bat? I think we can eliminate Plumlee and Powell right off the bat.
Yeah, Plumlee and Powell. I mean, I've never been really a fan of Plumlee, and if you've seen his game, you understand why.
Oh, good Joe. We're coming out with the fire. Okay, so we'll knock those out. That leaves Brook Lopez. They rank as number 1, Jakob Poeltl number 2, and Christian Wood for the Mavericks number 3. Let's start off 3 and go up. Christian Wood. You think the Spurs should target him as a pairing with Wemby in the paint?
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think he really understands the Spurs dynamic as far as the Spurs system. He's played over in with the Mavericks, so they run a different system. How well will he mesh with the Spurs and the Spurs system and finding his kind of niche here? I don't know. I mean, yes, he could essentially be an asset to have, but again, he's right. What year? He's a 27, 28 years of age already. He's got 7 years of experience.
27, yep.
So, I mean, he's still got some tread on the tire, and I don't know. He'd be an intriguing option for me. But, I'm going to be honest with you, Jeff. The one things that really excite me right now, looking at this list and looking at the top 5, it's got to be Brook Lopez and Jakob Poeltl. I mean, who wouldn't want Jakob Poeltl back? So he already has that.
So you're already just eliminating Christian Wood completely. You don't want to get into it.
I mean,
so you didn't want to get into Christian Wood stats or nothing, huh?
Yeah, he's an intriguing option. Don't get me wrong, especially if you can get him cheap. But he's demanding more salary than one Jakob Poeltl. You look at Jakob Poeltl, and he already has that Spurs knowledge. He has that corporate knowledge. All the fans loved Jakob Poeltl when he was here. And what he was able to do in the Spurs system. So can you imagine pairing him alongside, Wemby?
Yeah.
I mean, what would that mean? That you have Zach Collins now coming off the bench? That's not a bad 1-2 punch to have, And Zach has a little dog in him. He likes to get in some dust ups. So if somebody came and put hands on Wemby, he'd be one of the guys who'd run off the bench and throw hands,
Yeah, quickly with Christian Wood. Of the available top, at least in this case, our first top 5, you can eliminate him because Lopez and Poeltl are just much more enticing. Sure, Wood averaged 16 points per game with the Mavericks last year, played 67 games in about 25 minutes per game. But overall, Joe, I think the Spurs are better off passing on him and looking at the last 2 in our first set of 5, and that is Jakob Poeltl and Brook Lopez. Let's take care of Poeltl first because I think that'd be the easiest one to do. Poeltl is ranked, according to Spotrac, the second best big available in free agency. It just goes without saying, if the Spurs were to just get Poeltl back, only losing for a half a season because of the trade, and you bring back somebody who has that corporate knowledge, who understands pop, who, in my opinion, was the most improved player last season for the Silverback before he got traded, instant double-double, a guy who will clog that lane, set good picks, no brainer. If Poeltl's down to come, Joe, you give him some money, don't you?
Yeah, you give him some money, and especially if he comes in cheap. Just looking at the information that we have available to us right now.
Well, I don't think he'll come in cheap, though.
I mean, compared to
I don't think he'll come in cheap, though.
Well, compared to what Brook Lopez and Christian Wood are already demanding, Christian Wood's about closer to 14 mil. You have Brook Lopez that's right at 13 mil. Jakob Poeltl right at a little under 9. He's about 8.75. $8,750,000 right now is what he's what his salary commanded. If the Spurs can go ahead and get Jakob for that price again, I think they pull the trigger on that because he's a very intriguing option. but so is Brooke
Now,
Lopez. Especially he coming
right.
back from his back surgery and the type of season
Mhm.
that he had last year.
The only drawback with Pirtle, though, is that I believe he's been on record saying that he likes being with a competitive team. Not to say the Spurs will not be competitive, but he's kind of been on record already, even when he was a Spur, that he's starting to look at his long-term NBA career. Does he want to be part of a rebuilding system? Who knows? Perhaps the Spurs rebuild is now, instead of capital letters, it's now lowercase letters. But the point is that, yeah, would he want to come and spend another rebuilding phase with the Spurs moving forward? But in my opinion, I would like to see Jakob back even over Brooke Lopez. I was getting to Brooke Lopez. Championship experience. Now, you talked about some nastiness. Now, he will defend and have to raise hands if he has to, if anybody tries to lay a finger on Wemby. Not to say Zach Collins wouldn't or anything, but he's an NBA vet. He's been there, done that. He's he's still effective on both ends of the court, and again, he has playoff championship experience that I believe can be valuable for the Spurs team. What about you, Joe?
No, I think he has a lot of qualities that are redeeming, as far as him being a savvy veteran, and also been, that the years that he's played with the Milwaukee Bucks as well, and he was part of that olive branch too from, the Spurs, the Spurs coaching tree. So it wouldn't be that much of a, a stretch to go ahead and have him come in and be able to be, plug and play right away with the Spurs system. It's something that I think he would be very familiar with. Again, you can get him, and the Spurs really want to target, Brooke Lopez. To me, it would make the Spurs that much better, not only on the defense perspective, but also giving them a little bit of that little chip. You need somebody that brings a little dog to them, kind of like Zach Collins. So I think that would kind of change the dynamic of the starting unit, give them a little bit more of an enforcer feel.
15 points per game last season with Milwaukee. 2.4 blocks per game. Brooke Lopez comes in, or even Jakob Poeltl paired with Wemby, just Wemby alone. And then you had either one of those guys. Who's scoring on this team? I mean, who's really going to try to score on this team in the paint? I don't think anybody will. And he shot 53% from the field, played 78 games for the Bucks last season. So talk about taking some low management days off. He plays through it. And he averaged 30 minutes per game. Go ahead.
What about that length, though? If you go ahead and get somebody like Brooke Lopez or Jakob Poeltl, you're already going to have Wemby. He's 7'3".
Yeah.
Then you have you have Brooke Lopez. Then you have Jakob. What are they listed at? About near 7 foot, 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah. I have it here. Yeah.
So then you have Jeremy Sohan, who's kind of stretched a little bit over the summer. And he's listed. I think he's closer to 6'10" now. So I mean, you got some length there. That can actually bother a lot of teams. That's not going to be something that teams are going to be able to just go in the paint and shoot over. You got some length, you got some shot blocking ability. You got to go ahead and now you can go ahead and clog the paint and make those teams be honest and shoot, maybe mid jump, some mid-tier jumpers, jump shots, or, make them a 3-point shooting team and see what they got, dare them to go ahead and shoot the three. But it would make the Spurs a lot better. I'm saying, as far as their interior defense, especially inside the paint, they'd be a force to be reckoned with. We've seen what happened with Cleveland. Cleveland had that lot of length, and that bothered teams.
All right, Joe. So before we hit the break, you got to pick one out of this first top 5. Which are you going to take?
Oh, man. This one's a tough one for me, but I got to say, man, the heart wants what the heart wants, and I want to see Jakob back with the Spurs, man.
All right. Same here. I think if the Spurs are going to throw any money at a big, might as well go with somebody who is familiar with the system and understands already what the Spurs are trying to do out in San Antonio. He is Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. See it on your screen. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Two Shots Podcast. He's going to talk about that. And, of course, the Acquired Taste YouTube show later on this episode of Locked On Spurs. But before we do all that, hey, I want to thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. On tomorrow, well, in this case, next week's show, we'll probably be talking about if the Spurs made any moves, or since now the free agency period is beginning, they're allowed to negotiate, but they can't sign on the dotted line yet. Probably some summer league news. Wemby, likely on deck. this coming Monday or probably Tuesday, depending on the holiday, right here on Locked On Spurs. But now I want to talk to you about Game Time. You want to go to gametime.co right now. Look, they got flash deals on last minute tickets. They're easy to find tickets. You can buy tickets for almost any event you could think of in your area: concerts, sporting events, music, comedy. Buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. That's why you got to go to Game Time. They got killer deals on last minute tickets and the best price guarantee. So stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped for the fun right now. Look, the Game Time guarantee, that means you'll always get the best price. You can find tickets in the same section on your row. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So yeah, you love that Game Time guarantee. Download the Game Time app right now. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Those tickets, they'll be sent directly to your phone, so you don't have to dig through that email. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And I also want to talk to you about Mudslingers drive-through coffee. Hey, if you're in San Antonio, you got to go to Mudslingers right now. They got everything you can think of if you need to get your caffeine fix. They have lattes. They got cold brews. They got the OG OJ, which is my favorite because I'm a 70s baby. And back in the day, there was this thing called Orange Julius and old school malls. They don't exist anymore. Mudslingers brought it back. And because Wemby's here in San Antonio, they have the alien drink. It's in honor of Wemby's arrival. It's Red Bull, kiwi, red apple, all fused together for a delicious treat. It's getting a lot of reviews. You're definitely going to like it. Located at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, and they're open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friendly staff, over 300 five-star reviews, cannot be wrong. They're gaining in popularity fast in San Antonio, so take part in enjoying a Mudslingers drink. By the way, they even have dairy alternatives in case you also want to take it easy in that department. And they are everywhere from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, just pick a platform. They are there at Mudslingers STX. I enjoy going there. I was honored they let me name the drink, the OG OJ. So, yeah, I appreciate them. They had to go to an old guy like me to name that drink. But nevertheless, again, Mudslingers drive-through coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, located in San Antonio, open every day, Monday through Monday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Life is too short for a bland coffee. All right, it's going to bring him back. He is Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Two Shots Podcast. Joe, let's take a look at the bottom five that Spotrac has. So let's eliminate the first ones, the ones we can just get rid of real fast. So I think we can eliminate Jock Landale. As much as we'd love to have him back, we could take him off the list. Bismack Biyombo, when was the last time he played, Joe? I can't remember.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. Drew Eubanks, fan favorite, yes, but yeah, man, I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not. I think you want somebody a little bit with the amount of money the Spurs can spend. Might as well spend wisely. Mike Muscala, Thomas Bryant, and Dwight Powell. I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. These bottom five, the only one I'm looking at is Dwight Powell. What about you?
I don't know, man. Another person that I kind of found a little bit interesting to me would be, I wouldn't be opposed to saying the return of one Shemezi Metu, man.
So he's ranked number 11. So you went out the top 10.
Yeah, I know.
Why would you like to have Metu back?
Again, he has that corporate knowledge. I was always a fan of Metu. I was always seeing him too when I would go to the games early. And he was always putting in that working hard. Great kid, hard worker. Unfortunately, it was just, it just didn't pan out for the San Antonio Spurs, but it seems like he's found a second resurgence over there with the Sacramento Kings, playing at a good high level and kind of found his stride and is able to go ahead and get into that rotation. And he can contribute, to his team. That's a thing, a key factor there. I think he's learned a lot. And I think if the Spurs were able to go ahead and bring him back, I think he could actually help, especially shore up that second unit defensively, So to me, he's an intriguing option.
Yeah. For me, in these bottom 10, my wild card is Drew Eubanks simply because, a banger, will take on the dirty, will do the dirty work. for Wemby paired next to him, and also a dog too. He has a chip. He'll get chippy as well. So I do like that. But Dwight Powell, with the Mavericks, 9 years experience. He's a veteran, but not a veteran. Fits kind of in the mode of the veteran presence that the Spurs need. And again, you look at what he did in Dallas. We'll pull him up right now. I think he knows his role, and that's what I liked about it. Look, all these bottom 10 guys, they probably know their role, but I think pairing him, he played with Luke. He's playing with Luka right now in Dallas, so he understands what it is to defer to an all-star like Luka, and he'll understand. We'll probably do that to play with a budding star, and that's a Wemby. I think he averaged six? No, how many points he averaged last season? Close to. Well, he played 76 games, so we know he's durable. Averaged about 19 minutes per game. Little surprise, 4 rebounds per game though, Joe. Your thoughts?
4 rebounds is a little low, man. Be honest with you.
I was a little surprised about that. Yeah.
You would have thought, okay, maybe he'd be good for a little bit better than that, but 4. I mean, it's a little low to me.
6.6 points per game too. Again, this is the bottom 5 of the top 10, so we're not going to get Jakob.
He's not padding the stat line. Let's put it like that.
No, but he's a banger, and if the Spurs need a banger, he's right there.
Yeah, but if you can get him cheap, it's even better. Go in there, be an enforcer, play some enforcer minutes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I mean, if this is the case, if we're looking at overall the top 10 players that we're looking at, you want to throw the money because the Spurs have to spend money per the CBA new rules.
Yeah, they have to spend 90% of their cap.
Thank you. Yeah. So might as well spend it on A, somebody who knows the system, Jakob. B, maybe somebody has championship experience, Brook Lopez, or use some of it to bring in guys that are just bruisers. Your Dwight Powells or your Drew Eubanks. Yeah. But it is interesting because look, the big position is one of the positions that many think the Spurs need to beef up because of Wemby. Because Wemby's not going to play the 5; he's going to play the 4. All signs are pointing to that. He's going to be a power forward. And he vocally says that he likes playing that position. So what Wemby wants, Wemby's going to get. So, look, it's no knock on Zach Collins or Charles Bassey or if Mamu's still a Spur, next season. But with these available bigs, the Spur can definitely have an upgrade at the position. And again, I think in all of this too, I think Zach Collins is still going to probably get that nod at starting 5. Because Popovich did say last season to close the season that the only player that was guaranteed to come back was Zach because the team definitely likes him. But all right, Joe, moment of truth. Which one are you picking from the bottom 5? So 6 through 10.
So we have Dwight Powell, Thomas Bryant, Mike Muscala, Drew Eubanks, Jack Landale, and then Bismack Biyombo. Oh man!
Don't pick Bismack. Don't do yours. Don't do that.
No, I'm not gonna pick him, man. But I mean, you talk about getting back when you go down towards Dwight Powell, and then you go further down. I mean, you're talking about some low hanging fruit, bro.
Yeah.
So I'd have to say the lesser of the two evils for me would probably have to be just go ahead and go with Dwight Powell.
Yeah, of the bottom 5 of the top 10, you got to go with Dwight Powell. All right, so we're so far on our big list, or our 2 players, bigs that we focus down to is Jakob Poeltl and Dwight Powell. So because of this incredible scientifically way that we did it, not a bad upgrade, but all signs, at least in this chat right now, that I think Jakob Poeltl will probably be the smartest thing the Spurs can do if they're going to address the bigs. There's reports out there that the Spurs are reportedly interested in Jakob's services once again. Again, at the end of the day, Joe, would not be mad if Jakob is back in silver and black. Your thoughts?
Would not be mad if Jakob was to come back in the silver and black. I mean, to me, again, a very interesting option, as far as him being able to be plug and play and know the Spurs corporate knowledge. He knows all the plays. He knows exactly what he needs to do to contribute to this team. But again, as you brought up, is it going to be intriguing for him to come back, play alongside Wemby, and be, of course, be here with Coach Pop and not really contend for much, because he's getting up there in his NBA career as well, where he's kind of in his prime right now, and he wants to contend and he wants to be in the playoffs and being able to play for something, and versus trying to play for a play-in game and there's no guarantee you're going to win it, so you have to have that he has to think about as well. So I wouldn't mind the Spurs getting him. I'll be honest with you, man. It would be welcome home, Jakob, and then I would go get my jersey.
Just recycle it. Yeah. And then of course your wild card. Yeah, your dark horse in this is Metu. You would like to see him come back.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think my wild card in all this, man, let me look at it one more time. I was stuck between Eubanks and Plumlee simply because of the bruiser factor. I would love to see old-fashioned bruising big guys in the middle with next to Wemby. So yeah, I guess Eubanks. Sure, why not? Yeah, that'd be just
Jeremy Eubanks,
an old favorite.
Yeah, Drew Eubanks. He brings a lot of that energy off the bench, and who doesn't enjoy the antics that he had?
The bench reaction. When I missed those were really, really good.
Those were the best.
So hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. As I started the show, what did you think about Brian Wright's job so far? Since he's really been giving the reins to the Spurs and forming this team, making it right, making it good, making it better. Sure, Wemby was a big factor in all this, but what about those past deals before Wemby and what could be ahead? Is he on your clock? Let us know. What do you think about these available bigs? We went through some of the top 10 ones. We got in our top 2, we got Jakob and we have Dwight Powell. But we want to hear from you. But before we do that, Joe, tell us what's going on at Two Shots and at Acquired Taste.
Yeah, Two Shots. We took a little break, man, because we're getting ready to do the producing for the Acquired Taste. So now we're going to start kicking off episodes of Two Shots again to start talking about, free agency. And, of course, Wemby news, which everybody's going to be talking about. Shocker. So I hope to have you and I have Mike on at the same time. So see if I can have him do double duty where we can record an episode of Two Shots before we record the show for Mike, at Acquired Taste. And we're getting real close to breaking we already broke the 400 mark as far as subscribers go for the Acquired Taste. So go and give us some love, man, and go check out the YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. Helps a lot.
Absolutely. He is Joe Garcia with Two Shots Podcast. You see his Twitter handle on your screen right now. It's at Two Shots Podcast. Give him a follow. Hey, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. And again, next week's show, more Wemby, some Vegas Summer League, Sacramento Summer League talk, and much, much more right here on Locked On Spurs. But for Joe Garcia, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.